Welcome to the Witches Healing Podcast. This is a show that helps you get back to the basics of your spiritual journey. I am your host, Moonstone Energy, spiritual wellness coach, and entrepreneur. I am here to show you that the way out is within. Now let's get into this episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Witches Healing Podcast. It has been such a long time. I missed you all. So that we don't lose sight of each other, make sure you follow me on Moonstone_energy on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Moonstone_energy0, and on YouTube. Also, make sure you visit me at moonstoneenergy.com. We have made some renovations to everything, including this podcast. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. So let's get started. So today's episode, we are talking about what to do when your magic isn't working. So recently I created a blog post in regards to your woo-woo. In other words, your magic, your practice, right? And what needs to be said is that over time we go through these different practices, initiations, and all these other things. And at some point, and maybe it's just me, but maybe, you all can relate. After a while, it just becomes so, I don't want to say redundant, but it feels like something's missing, right? And what I noticed for myself when I began my practice, everything was mystical. Everything was, up in the clouds. Everything was magical. Everything had a magical or an esoteric meaning. And true, so to speak, but that's when we end up coming to a place within our practice where we experience what people like to call spiritual psychosis. And we have a spiritual answer for everything, and literally everything doesn't have a spiritual answer. It's just cause and effect, right? You tripped as you were walking. It's not because someone put a hex on you. It's because you didn't tie your shoe. So eventually I got to that point within my own practice, and I had to really back a little bit because everything doesn't have a mystical reasoning behind it, not so to speak. And I think that when we get to that particular place, we have to remember that the goal, right, should be to manifest a life worth living. And that requires everything. That requires faith. That requires a little bit of delusions, right? And an actual practical plan, right? So my main thing is I'm not, a spiritual guru as they would call it back in back in the day. I'm not one of those. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're a star seed from Galactica planet number 7, okay? And that your purpose is to save the world, because everyone has a purpose. At least I believe that people have a purpose, even if it's just to exist. Like I said, I believe in cause and effect. What goes up must come down, right? So based on you existing, living, breathing, and thriving the way that you are is going to impact someone either negatively or positively. Your existence is going to impact someone one way or another. And this is how we get to the point where we begin to realize that a lot of the experiences that we may have had in our lives, whether good or bad or indifferent, it shaped us to be who we are today. I can't tell you how many things in my past that I would have done over. People that I lost that I would have, if I could just snap my finger, like if I had the Infinity Stones, if I could just snap my finger. A lot of the things that I experienced, or people that I've lost, some of the things would not have happened. Some of the people that I lost would still be here, but that's not how life goes. Life goes on after death, after you experience death, and the decisions that caused you to be in certain situations, or certain, it could just be wrong place, wrong time, things of that nature. That is a part of the lived experiences that we have on this planet. And for me, as the woman that I am, I believe that I have experienced enough from the time that I was born up until now that I can provide perspective that can help someone. And what I find interesting about this entire thing, I've noticed that a lot of people, once we get to a certain point within our lives, we feel like, and I saw this with an interview recently with someone who was on a podcast, and I thought that it was just so, it's something that needs to be touched on. When we get to a point within our lives where we feel like we've experienced so much that no one can tell us anything about anything because of our age, that's when you become a fool. Just because you've been on this planet longer than someone doesn't mean that you know everything about everything. It is literally impossible to know everything. And that's when you become a fool, because you limit your ability or your receptiveness. You limit yourself to being receptive to new perspectives, new insight, because you feel like you have seen it all and you've done it all. When in fact, I still to this day learn from people that are younger than me. My nieces, my nephews, they teach me new things that are more relevant to them because of their generation. I don't know everything, and I don't pretend that I know everything, because I don't. I'm very resourceful. However, I have gotten to a place within my life where I'm receptive to new information, but not only that, I'm also receptive to, or more willing, I should say, to asking questions. I don't care if you're younger than me, it doesn't matter. If I don't know something, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to ask someone that knows something, right? I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm good at knowing how to utilize my resources to my benefit. And I think that is lost on a lot of people, not knowing how to be resourceful. And this is a contributing factor to a lot of different things that I have noticed. Even with everything that's going on in the world, we still need to understand where we can go to get things done, understand how to get them done, regardless of whether something or someone has has cut off access to said things. Your needs still have to be met. And also, I wanted to touch on, like, when we are kids, right? We remember, we basically, we are in a place within our lives where everything is just so whimsical, right? And then when we get older, life just shows us its true colors. And sometimes when we are in our developmental years, and no matter how much love and protection that our parents place over us and give us, it still can't keep us from what is, and that is reality. And the children that are in my life, I love them tremendously. And as much as I would want to protect them and keep them safe from the world, I cannot do that. The purpose of becoming who you need to be in this life is experiencing life. We can't experience life through a screen. You have to be outside. You have to engage with people. And the screens, the phones, all of those things. It helps. It's like a double-edged sword. We get to a point where we connect with different people. We find community in people in online spaces, versus within our own backyard. However, some people use that as a crutch to limit their access to humans and other people within their community. And that keeps them in a place of stagnancy. And what I what I realized, I should say, as I've gotten older as well, like we forget how to get back to that place of wonder that we once experienced when we were children. And honestly, you have to fight for that. And I say that you have to fight for it because the truth is very daunting, especially if you were someone that was coddled or kept from the world or kept from making certain choices. And I'm not saying that you should allow your kids to do everything and experience everything, because everything has an age appropriate, everything's age appropriate, right? However, some things you need to allow your children to experience. You need them to get into an argument with their friends. You need them to experience a loss. You need them to experience certain things, but age appropriate, if that makes sense, so that you're not crippling them. Because one thing that, and I know this is like going back and forth because it's like, what are you talking about? I'm essentially saying that once we get to a place within our practice, we enter into everything because it's new. It's something that we've never experienced before. We're excited for new information, and then at a point within that journey, we forget that life is life. That we need both the woo-woo, the mystical side of it, as well as the physical side of it. And we also need to maintain whatever faith we have. And even if you are not, you can be, I've met witches and people that practice that are atheists, but they practice magic. And you would think, how in the world are you an atheist and you practice this? Like, there has to, it's it's interesting to see, but I think the way that they approach it is more from a practical and realistic side, from a scientific level, if that makes sense, right? We talk about we've heard about neuroplasticity when we talk about affirmations. After a while, you when you start to tell your brain, I am this, I am that, you subconsciously rewire yourself to actively manifest whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish. And eventually, you will get to a point where you figured it out, unknowingly or knowingly, how to accomplish said goal. And I think that that's the human brain is an amazing thing on its own. It's very complex, but it's also very it's complex, but it's not so complex that you can't figure it out, if that makes sense. And what I love about my practice is that I like to bring everything into the mix to make it what it is. Even if I love to light a candle or use some type of doll, or mirror to do mirror work, for example, I understand that even if I use these different tools, if I use this type of oil, or if I use this candle, if I use this doll, or I do this ritual a certain way and I go to this location to perform, and it's going to have a impact on my physical life as well as the spiritual at the same time, because of course, as above so below, even with that, I know that I still need to be in the world and I still need to experience life for what it is and actively choose results that's going to get me to my end goal, whatever that is, right? And even if, because of course we sometimes we get so caught up in the act of manifesting, the act of this, that we lose sight of the journey that gets to the ending of it all. I want to be in the ending results of my manifestations, like right now. Like as soon as that candle gets done burning, I want it to be right now. But that's not how life works. I believe that there are things that could happen in an instant. People talk about overnight successes. People talk about, how this person just became this and it just seems like it just happened out of nowhere, when really, in actuality, this person may have been working for years to get to this point and this level of success. It takes so many years to hone a craft that a lot of people forget, because we live in an era where microwavable results are what we look for. And we have been trained to, we have been not even trained, well, we have been trained, we have been conditioned to desire popcorn results, even though there could be things that require a little bit more elbow grease, if that makes sense, to get done. And I I appreciate the fact that some things can be done quickly, right? But it causes you to lose the buildup, right? I remember seeing a video on TikTok about how some people they experience loneliness during the holiday season, and they say, "Oh, Christmas doesn't feel like Christmas anymore." Now, I myself, I was born, well, not born, but I was raised in a Baptist household. And although, Christianity, Jesus, and all this other stuff, it's included. Like, Jesus is the reason for the season. That's the belief. But me, as a kid, oh my God, Christmas, the trees, the lights, the eggnog. I love eggnog. The eggnog, the Christmas movies. Like, I love the festivities of it all. And the only way that you can even enjoy and revel in the experience of Christmas is to remain traditional and follow the traditions. You delay the instant gratification of opening the gifts before Christmas Day, right? I mean, we may, like I used to do back in, the day. I used to sneak at night and rip a little corner off just to see what's under the tree. My mom knew. I would have to wait to open presents until December 25th. I have a ritual, right? I would watch Christmas movies up until the day of Christmas. It would probably start around Thanksgiving. Like, I had a little, I guess, holiday season bag that I had. So I would have a book in there, a toy. I would have my drink, which would be hot chocolate or eggnog. Like, I had a whole entire ritual as a kid that I created myself, because I knew that this made me get into the holiday spirit. It made me excited for Christmas. And to this day, I still get the Christmas pajamas. I still get the eggnog. I still watch Jingle All the Way for the 1,700 millionth time. Like, I still do all of these things because it keeps me grounded in that space of appreciating and feeling the love that is the holiday season, right? And that same principle of remaining traditional in how you go about things within your practice should carry over from, how you go about celebrating holidays to still feel like it feels like Christmas. You still have to do those things. The same thing would apply with your magical practice. In order for you to still feel like your practice is something that is viable and it has life and is actually thriving and breathing, you have to remain or build a system where things all integrate into one and make sense for you. If you started out journaling and um I think at the beginning, I think I probably talked about this, I'm not sure, but at the beginning of my practice, I designated Sundays as a day for quote unquote devotionals, meaning I would take out my tarot deck and I would do my shadow work and I'd reflect, and that would be it. Like, I had a ritual going. I would also work Magick on specific days. If I felt like I needed to spruce up on, some glamour magic, I'd work on Fridays if I felt called to, or maybe I'd focus on magic during Venus's hour. It just does it. It just depends on what I'm looking for or what I need at that time. But I always had a schedule, or not even a schedule, I would say a ritual that I would do to maintain my practice. This is what's going to keep you grounded, and it's also going to assist you in appreciating the journey along your way to whatever the end goal is. If you're manifesting, I don't know, a new job, a new house, a new career path, a new business, whatever it is that you're looking for, those rituals are going to assist you. And not only that, it is going to make you intentional subconsciously, because you are actively participating in life so that you can accomplish these goals. And I think that in conjunction with that, you are also maintaining the faith that it will happen, because when you are manifesting something, you can't hold on to the outcome. And like I said, we all want instant results. We want this and we want that, but you have to let it go. You have to let it go, because you never know how the results are going to manifest. Some things take time, but the results may come back in a completely different way and even be better than what you were initially looking, for it to be. It just happens that way sometimes. So my thing is, make sure that you maintain your practicality within your practice. Keep the faith that everything is going to going to work out the way that it's supposed to. But also remember that, as the Bible would say, faith without work is dead. You cannot expect this and that to happen if you are not actively working towards it in the physical, right? And I also wanted to mention that for quite some time, I have been planning little things behind the scenes, and I've been testing different things and coming up with different strategies for different things that I want to offer on my website, moonstarenergy.com, and it has finally come into fruition, and I'm so excited about it. I have released the Gilded Experience, and of course overhauled my entire website, moonstarenergy.com, but I have recently released the Gilded Serpent Conjure Oils. And these oils, I'm so proud of them because they hold a special place in my heart, because everything that I create is authentic to me and my brand, and it holds it's symbolic to me. I have an oil that is entitled 90s R&B. And I loved R&B. I still love 90s R&B. I can still play 90s R&B like it just came out yesterday, and it would still hit every single time because of the energy. Every bit of music that we listen to has a frequency, right? And the frequency that was the 90s R&B scene was immaculate, chef's kiss. But this particular oil is about love, it's about romance, it's about self-love, it's about deep yearning and emotions for yourself, spouse, whoever. Like, this oil, it is it just is. I have another oil that's called Prima Donna, and the funny thing is, when I first heard the term prima donna, it was spelled a certain way because of the artist Madonna and her album, which was funny, but it has a double meaning. But that's not the literal spelling of prima donna. It's actually an Italian term that translates, the term prima donna, it translates into a woman that is heavily revered. Like she has a high level of talent. She gains favor, that sort of thing. And that oil, it's my spin on the King Solomon oil to a degree, because this one is all about the integration of both the divine masculine and feminine aspects, but it's about exuding power, confidence, mental agility, and gaining favor. This is literally girl boss in a jar, in an oil. And I use the word girl boss because I couldn't think of anything else, but that is it encapsulates the confidence of, I would say, a mature woman that is very self-assured, that competes at a high level. And I absolutely love this oil. Grandma's hands, I love it because I love my grandmother, and I know the power that is within the matrilineal blessings that are passed down through your grandmother. If you didn't know, with different tribes throughout the world, there, or different parts of the world, I should say, they they are based on a matriarchal system. And how the matriarchal system works is the woman is the head of the tribe. And this is all proven, and it's, some of them are still existent to this day. But if you've ever read the book When God Was a Woman, it talks about that too. But your birthrights, your status, and all of that sort of thing is passed down through the your matrilineal bloodline, and also DNA. There's a lot of things that's passed down from the mother only to the children. The girls can pass it along as well, but the boys can't. So this is the, I can go on and on, but it's going to be a longer podcast episode. So I'm just going to end it here. But thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you visit me on my social platforms, as well as come on over to moonsolarenergy.com and get your oils, because they are chef's kiss. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye. The next time you hear from me, let's say the next episode, you'll be one step closer to your highest self, one step closer to stepping into your divine energy and in complete flow. And so it is. Pache.